Hi guys, it's Maureen. Welcome back to my little English page. Many of you can't afford to have a teacher, or you just don't have time to join a class on a regular basis. But despite that, you still need and want to improve your English. So, you have decided to self-study, to study on your own. The advantage of going down that road is that you can really focus on what you need to learn. Often in group classes, teachers have to cover the content of a book, which is great if you're preparing an exam, but this does not focus on your needs. However, there is one major challenge that you will face when you study on your own. What do you study next? What should you focus on? So today I am going to share a method with you that is going to help students of all levels. This is going to help you prepare your study sessions and get organized so that you can stay focused and motivated. Before we start, make sure that you are subscribed and that you have pressed the bell button to turn on the notifications. It will let you know every time I have a new video out. Alright, shall we start? The amazing thing about this method is that it truly focuses on what you want and need to learn. The goal is to help you learn things that will be useful to you specifically and not things that you think you should learn. So your first step is to make a list of reasons why you want to learn English. Some of these reasons could be that you want to speak English at work, you'd like to be able to write stories in English, or you want to be able to talk to your estranged cousin in Australia. Every single reason is valid, so just write them all down. Now we need to go more in details. Just knowing that you want to speak English at work or that you're going to the UK next year is not specific enough. It's not going to help you here. So, to go more in details, we are going to use mind maps. Mind maps are diagrams in which the information is presented visually, and usually it has a central idea, a main idea placed at the center, with subtopics or associated ideas placed around it. Here's an example of a mind map. The idea is to write the main topic in the middle of your paper, and from there you're going to add subtopics, and then you're going to add subtopics to the subtopics, and then you're going to add subtopics to the subtopics. You get the idea. This will create a very detailed mind map of everything related to that topic. Let's take one of my examples earlier. English at work. In what situations will I need English at work? Well, for instance, two of the subtopics that I could create are formal situations and informal situations. And then my next step is to add more subtopics. So, for formal situations, here are some subtopics that I could write. How to disagree with my boss. How to make suggestions. Meeting room vocabulary. Talking about the product. Basically, for this one, I would say focus on whatever your company does. Now let's have a look at some potential subtopics for the informal category. Making and ordering coffee. Think about it. How often do you drink coffee at work? How often do you make coffee for somebody? Or maybe you go somewhere during break for coffee. It would be quite nice to be able to talk about that in English. Asking for favors. Talking about your weekend. And if you can narrow it down even more, go for it. The more detailed, the better. So now, everything you see on your mind map is something you should study. So your mind map has now become your study plan. As you can see, there's no grammar written on the mind map. Well, kind of. It's just that with the mind map, you focus on the purpose of what you're learning, not what it's called. Let's go back to our mind map earlier. One of my subtopics was how to make suggestions. Well, for that, I can of course use vocabulary with expressions like why don't you, but I can also use several grammatical points. including, for instance, modals. And you see, with that, we're not focusing on rules, but instead, we're focusing on how and when to use the knowledge. Which means that when you think about what you have to say, it will be easier to access the information. Honestly, guys, don't focus on what a specific grammar point is called or whether you should learn something just because it's in a book. Focus on what you want to be able to express in English instead, and the grammar you need will become quite obvious. Now, how do you find the information you need? Well, with the internet nowadays, we have access to an incredible amount of free information. So really, Google is your friend. Use it. Just enter the subtopics that you want to learn about on maybe Google or YouTube, and you will find the information that you need. I do find it useful to add ESL to any search though. ESL stands for English as a Second Language. And this is a keyword that the entire English language industry uses. So this will ensure that your search is really focused on English as a language that you're learning. My last key point for today is that you absolutely need to keep all of your mind maps. Every single one of them. First of all, because they will come in handy when you want to review. Instead of going over all of your notes, have a look at your mind map. Try to remember, think about everything you covered in each subtopic. And you'll notice very quickly which subtopics you need to review. The other reason why you should keep your mind maps, and that's probably the most important reason why, is because you should add more to your mind map as time goes. As you learn and improve, you will think of more categories that could fit in your mind map. And you'll also learn new grammatical structures that you want to connect to the mind map so that you can actually visualize when you can use those particular grammar points. So really, your mind maps should keep growing and growing and growing forever. And with that, you'll be able to actually visualize how much you've learned, how much you've grown, because you're growing at the same rate as your mind maps are growing. If you really want to show me how motivated and dedicated you are, I have a task for you. And if you complete the task and fulfill all the requirements, you might win a 30-minute lesson with me. So here's the list of the things you have to do to be eligible for the lesson. Choose a topic you want to learn about. Write down the topic you've chosen in the comment section. Create your own mind map, then post it on Instagram. Not in your story because I might miss it. It needs to be a regular post. And finally, tag my little English page. You have until Sunday the 26th at midnight to complete the task and maybe win a 30-minute lesson with me. And remember, this is the first step towards becoming a completely autonomous learner. So really, whether you win the lesson is just the cherry on the cake. Actually doing the mind map is you taking control of your own learning and getting just a little bit closer to your goals of fluency. I cannot wait to see all of the wonderful mind maps that you have created. Alright guys, that's the end of today's lesson. You now have all the keys and tools necessary to learn English, even if you don't have a teacher to guide you. If you like this lesson and would like more like this one, make sure to give the video a big thumbs up. That's it for today guys, thank you so much for watching and of course, keep on learning. Bye bye. Until Sunday the 26th of May.